Cath, we need to talk. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, doing to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, here we are to do a quick little breakdown and discussion so I can give you my thoughts on Carther. Cath, the King of Chaos, I suppose? Let's not waste any more time. We start this 15-minute timer right now and let's hop right into it. Yeah, okay. So, obviously, the big twist reveal was realistically shown to us actually all the way in chapter... I say all the way, it was literally 3 chapters ago. In chapter 216. The latest chapter that I'm recording is 218, but in chapter 216, we find out that Arthur is alive and well, quotation marks, as himself still. The Arthur we've been seeing is not the Arthur Pendragon that we know and love, quotation marks. A lot of people like Arthur, I'm more so indifferent to the character. But with it being the case, it is actually Cathy Wathy. As we get revealed in chapter 217, the Eternal King, or can you, Cath Paulo, the purest embodiment of malice. We now know that every single bit of Arthur has been realistically Cath for a long time. We get explained in this chapter that Cath, essentially upon being consumed by Arthur, was just consuming him back. He was the liaison or the legion inside his own body that devoured Arthur and a majority of the chaos power, but it was Merlin who managed to save Arthur and a little bit of chaos after the fact and slipped it out in a way, and they scurried off, and Cath has not necessarily been looking for them, but at least acknowledges that he needs to devour that power. And thusly, we now know that the main villain of Fourknights of the Apocalypse, at least at current standing, is not Arthur Pendragon, it is Cath, in this weird, just strange, chaos, cat, mix, Arthur form. So, what are my thoughts on this just at base level? Do I like it or do I dislike it? If I'm going straight binary, I still dislike it. Ultimately, as much as I've been trying to like soften up to it, I still don't really find Cath that interesting at base as a concept. I think Arthur would have still worked as a major antagonist. Nakaba just had to do the work to make Arthur a major antagonist. Like, that still could have worked. I get it, it's Arthurian legend. I know we're adapting Arthurian legend. I mean, we gotta follow it closely, but at the same time, if you look at original sevendeadlysins and you look at a lot of Fourknights, it's definitely not similarly adapted, like, at all. So, like, we could have done things differently. But putting my biases aside, I am more willing to work with it, if only for the fact that it comes with a lot of weird stuff. Weird character stuff, and I think that's where Nakaba is tickling my toes just a little bit and having me more intrigued than I am truly angry. And the reason I say that is because now knowing that this is Cath, right? Like, now knowing that Arthur, all the way back from like his first appearance, this is crazy to think about now, but Arthur, all the way back from his first appearance, is Cath. He's always been Cath. We have, in fact, never, until chapter 216, we had never seen the real Arthur in Fourknights. So for over 200 chapters, we had never actually seen the real Arthur. It's all Cath. But it does put us in a weird, interesting position to where Cath just seems to be Cath in name, not necessarily alone, but mostly in name. Because if you remember, original series Cath was, you know, more so a primordial force of nature. Like, literally the manifestation of all of Chaos's destructive instincts in the form of a cat that wanted to devour, consume, and destroy literally everything. And, like, that's still stated to be Cath's current motivations. I will leave not a trace behind as I destroy it all. Like he still does say that, but for context, he's been LARPing, live action role playing as Arthur for over a decade now. It is implied that he's been like this since like before the end of Seven Deadly Sins, arguably. Because if you'll remember, I think it may still be Arthur in Cursed by Light, but at the same time, that could still actually be Cath. So, like, he's shown a lot of weird things that the original Cath never would have. One of the main things that's actually really weird is the fact that he hasn't gone after Arthur and Merlin, right? As he says, well, this happened. I stole that body and the chaotic power inside. My only regret is that woman Merlin separated us just before I could swallow everything up. I'll save them both for some time later. For now, why not just enjoy what we have? That's not Cath. Like, at least, like, legitimately, that's not Cath. The only reason he was playing the patient long game in the original series was because he literally didn't have power. Like, he didn't have his original form. He didn't have anything. He could not have pursued his initial ambitions. He needed to consume chaos, which only would have happened if Arthur awoke as the King of Chaos. Like, once he got there, he was going to devour and consume everything. He was going to do that. But now he's been LARPing for over a decade. And I know he's probably, like, a multi-billion-year-old creature. He was sealed in purgatory for a long time. But, like, it's still weird. Like, it still doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know, what is he doing? Like why is he doing this? And I think that that's the intrigue. Notably, the reason I say it's intrigue and not an accidental fault of Nakaba's weird character writing, or not even weird, because I think Nakaba has fantastic character writing. Nakaba, like, overlooking something about the character is specific little details. If you look at Cath's current appearance relative to his original appearance, which I should have pulled up, but I'm not going to. But essentially, remember, Cath was just like an 8-legged cat. Very big, but he was an 8-legged cat and he'd consume just a portion of chaos. But now if you look at what current Cath's essential true form is, not only is it humanoid, but it still even has the Arthur cowlick. I think that's the appropriate word there. It still has the Arthur cowlick. He still seems to have this fascination for humans. He still is, playing the role of the king of Camelot to the point where he's going out of his way to worry about his perception and, like, getting married and raising the hopes to everybody. And of course, he justifies all of this in the idea of, like, oh, I'm going to get all their hopes up so duper high, but then I'm going to devour it all and look at their faces in this way. That didn't matter to Cath. At least not originally. So I do think the interesting angle, and why I'm more so leaning towards being okay with, if not liking the twist, I don't like what it does for Arthur, but specifically on the Cath side of things. I'll talk more about Arthur later, kind of in his own video, because I do have separate thoughts about Arthur and, like, his role within Four Knights now. But, very specifically, for Cath itself, for him as a main antagonist, I think it's interesting because he has the opportunity to be characterized more. And now, everything that happened to Cath before, everything that happened to Arthur before, is now just Cath characterization. And I think that feeds into it more. It's making Cath an infinitely more interesting character than he was in Original Seven Deadly Sins, because he wasn't really a character in Original Seven Deadly Sins. He was just this weird thing for majority of the narrative, and then he ended up becoming the final villain for a little bit, like, 3 chapters, and then that was wrapped up. But now, knowing that everything is Arthur, every bit of weird contrast, every bit of characterization, every bit of, like, Arthur is just Cath. So getting, like, it's weird, like I said, it doesn't even feel like this is the same character that was introduced at the end of Original Seven Deadly Sins, but with that in mind, it is, like, kind of a weird character development or character evolution. And I'll still say this, in terms of our main, big, bad, like, overarching antagonist we've had for either a season or a narrative, Cath or Carther still is the best one that Nakaba has produced. From how he's designed, to how he presents himself, to how he carries himself, to even his roles in the narrative so far as a gaslighter, girl bosser, manipulator, all that. Like, he's done well. Especially in comparison to someone like the Demon King, the Supreme Deity, even the Tengaman. Like, I think Carther is great in terms of what he's done. However, in spite of all the praise I'm giving it and how I'm saying I see the vision and how I'm kind of working with it, we still have one big bad fundamental problem and a question. Number one. The big bad fundamental problem with Cath or Carther is that he's buns. he's buns. He's very specifically, but he's not threatening. He's not threatening in the slightest. The one singular thing I will give the Demon King is that he did genuinely seem unbeatable. Like, I was looking at the plot and being like, are we sure our characters can actually do it? Like, I was respectful of his power and his presence because he had a power and presence. I don't feel that for Carther. He's kind of a baby. And of course, he's a baby relative to, like, the actual heavens above, right? Like, sure, he gets bullied by Lancelot, but now we do have context that Lancelot literally has infinity inside of him and apparently had base crack potential anyway. He was going to surpass Nemesis in a few years anyway, not to talk of, like, actually absorbing infinite magical power, which was created by Chaos itself. Like, that's fine. But because of this, it like, Lance, unironically, despite being raised up because of Carther, drags Carther down so much lower. He puts Carther on this low position. And it doesn't help that this original beatdown that happened so long ago now in our real world, and even over 100 chapters ago in narrative, it still hasn't been recontextualized. Sure, he has 90% of chaos powers, but, like, unless we think that 90% of chaos power, or like 90% is the number we come up with, but he has a whole lot more chaos power, but he still fought it to a 16-year-old. He has all this chaos power, but he still isn't able to really do anything. He has all this chaos power, yet he's still not even able to make Guinevere do anything, and has to, like, use coercion or anything. He barely feels like a threat. Like, he's a threat in the sense of he's running the main antagonist crew, but, like, I don't know, just by the nature of the narrative, he doesn't feel threatening. Like, even with him consuming all of Britannia slowly but surely, like, it doesn't feel like it means anything, because nothing major has happened. Like, the closest one that feels major, at least for me, was seeing Cath in this chapter, in chapter 218 in particular, and also knowing that, like, Griamore and Veronica's kingdom was taken away. But, like, I really care about those characters. I don't really care about Cath. I just remembered his design. Like there's nothing inherent about Carther's actions so far that have, like, given any sort of pressure to our cast. And the little pressure he did have was very quickly literally stomped out of him by Meliodas coming in and still being relative, the Sins naturally still being threats to Arthur. And on top of that, Lance literally coming in and bullying this man. And of course, that's not good. He is, like, as much as I still do see a possible real final antagonist in the similar vein to Cath popping up towards the end of the narrative, since Cath kind of is currently all we have, him being this bummy and not that threatening as a main character, more so interesting as a character in execution and concept, it's not the best. It's not the best, and it's not something that I'm like, good job, Nagaba. I'm like, Nagaba, you need to fix this. But I don't know how he fixes it. Knowing that Lance is just stronger than him right now, while not having a secret treasure, not his full potential, and not in Arthur, even with all of his, or Carther, with all of his relative power, not being able to do anything to Guinevere, you know, like the 12, well, now 14-year-old girl who he needs to see the future because he's getting bullied by the Sins and Lance. Like, it's just bad. It's bad. It's bad for him as an antagonist. It's like, I don't know. I want to buff him, but at the same time, I don't want to nerf Lance in order to buff him, if that makes any sense. Like, I would like Arthur to just be, or Carther to just be threatening on his own, for one. And for two, I do genuinely wonder how long we're going to keep treating him like a passive threat. Like, yeah, he's an issue, but he's like an issue by circumstance. He feels much more passive despite his very active role in the narrative. It's because he doesn't really have the power to actualize any sort of threat to any of our relevant characters. I think that's the main issue. And that is a byproduct of, you know, Lance himself being so dumb, stupid, crazy, crack strong. Like, don't get me wrong, it is very much this guy's fault. But, like, even the rest of the four knights don't really seem that threatening to them. Jade, unfortunately, was off a long time ago now, so it feels like he hasn't really threatened our non-knight main crew either. Our main crew just keeps getting bigger with Ballin, with Dareth, with Get. Like, we keep amassing more and more and more, and the four evils, which still seem to be somewhat relative. I know they just got buffed and stuff like that again with the new chaos possession by Carther, but, like, I don't know, man. It's just not, they're not feeling like a threat. And unfortunately, Arthur or Carther kind of is Camelot, right? It's almost like how in Web of Shadows, Venom's army is kind of Venom in his presence. Camelot, in their lack of threat, outside of, you know, eating the planet with random pieces that we don't really care about because we don't know any of those characters, it doesn't feel threatening. It doesn't feel like there's any weight in the story. It doesn't feel like I should take Arthur or any of the villains seriously, and that's the big issue. But, of course, there's also the question I mentioned earlier, and the question is, like, what was true? Like, is this true? Can Cath die? Like, was this just a lie? You see, Chaos is merely acting on instinct to protect its vessel. If I die, it will lose its place in the world. Think of it as a kind of mindless will, separate from my own. That's why not even Lancelot can read his mood. How much of that is real? Can he actually die? Because remember, Cath is like immortal. Like, better than Bond immortality. Like, this is actually stated by... I really should have pulled up sevendeadlysins. I love that, but I forgot. Man, I'm not on it. But would that be the case? Like, Cath already had, like, better than Bond level immortality with less of chaos. So, like, was this just wrong? Like, would like, him being destroyed just actually reveal his true form or something? Like, I don't really get this statement anymore. And I guess that's the big thing that's, like, saving Carther / Cath as an antagonist. We don't really have a win con. Especially, like, now knowing what we know, that, you know, Arthur is his own separate character and he still has a little bit of chaos inside of him and Merlin is doing things. Like, we still don't really have a win con against them outside of, like, I don't know, getting Arthur to eat Cath again, I guess, but that's still not really set up, right? Like, it's a long-term win con. Carther is surviving on the idea, at least for me as an antagonist, Carther is surviving on the idea that he does lead to an interesting evolution of a character I couldn't have cared less about at the end of original Seven Deadly Sins, and he's like a big old wall. He's a big old wall that's easily climbable, but, like, made out of tungsten or something. Like, you can't break the wall. Unfortunately, at least not immediately, but you can just keep climbing over it. It's there. It's like a wall that doesn't block anything. It's like if there was a massive wall on the side of the road, but not, like, in the middle of the road. That's kind of what Cath / Camelot / Arthur is right now, or Carther is right now. A big old wall that doesn't seem to be able to do anything to our characters, but our characters can't really do anything to the wall either. It feels like we're at an impasse, a stalemate, and I don't think that's the best for the narrative tension and for just, like, the longevity of Carther as an antagonist. So ultimately, my thoughts are, I'm cool with Carther as a concept. I do not like what it does for Arthur, but I do like what it does for Cath as a character. But the main issues that he has is a lack of threat, a lack of power, and very specifically a lack of agency within his own narrative, even though technically he is the foundational basis for the agency of every character in the narrative, it's a weird contradiction. And notably, I don't think it's intentional. I highly doubt Nakaba wants me to feel this disengaged with Arthur as an antagonist or with Carther as an antagonist. I think he wants me to be engaged. But I think as a byproduct of making Lance so cracked and Arthur just not that, I think it is actually backfiring in many ways. So I'm very interested to see how Nakaba ends up handling it. And I hope it doesn't mean nerfing Lance. But of course, I am out of time. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave too big yet too small. Too big yet too small. 5 words. Too big yet too small in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notifications most of you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you can have a Patreon below or use more me for as low as $1 a month. I want things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those books include the live reactions here, the series I have to review, ad-free variations of all my videos, early ad-free access to all my videos, and on top of that, you get your name listed at the end of literally every single video. And I'm not just talking about videos over here, I'm also talking about videos on the second channel that got the reaction, which will be linked in the description down below. I drop like 40 to 2 hour long reaction videos over there every Saturday at 1 p.m. EST. When you become a Patreon member, you get early access to those as well. And the second they are done, they're for your viewing pleasure, ad free. On top of that, you will get access to your name at the end of every single video. But if you're a $3 member or higher, you get your name read aloud at the end of every single video, not just listed. And on top of that, I do stream every Friday, 8 p.m. EST over on the Twitch as that guy with the controller, link in the description down below. If you want to ever chat with me live, ask questions, this, that, and the third, that is the place to find me. We have wonderful times over there. It's a very jolly time. But on top of that, if you want to drop 5 minutes for a short video or 25 minutes for a long video, link to my Ko-Fi is in the description down below. But all that plugging aside, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Pura Ura, Enzo, Swift Strike, Super Flame Zero, Yuki Ally, Striker Man, Grim, Ollie, The Boy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Romano Furen, Dino, Heath Nelson, Hector Gonzalez, Black Sage, Tim Thomas, Kaving, Julian Perez, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, RXN, Nevis97, Logan Guzman, Dead Meme, Karudir, Reyna, Christian Carter, Jagoda, Keon Stewart, Donovan McIntosh, Sino King, Hamza Idrisi, BNA DNA, Edwin Igmignoba, Cyan, Straw, Cybersage 12, Athen Shear, Antavius Mitchell, Plant Crone, Azo2404, Create Panem, Zapro, Weary Exile, and Karina Hernandez. Then let me thank you to Art Art Tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Dreadzoen, Norgazi Andasov, Midnight Lord 21, and Wind Dragco. Then let me thank you to our Ink Tier members: King RTX and Shrimpo the 4th Shrimp 06. Then let me thank you to our Digital Art Tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. Then I'd like to give a thank you to our Colored Art Tier patrons: Walkie Munoz and Walkie Munoz.